welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. This show is brought to you by attorney Michelle Alexander Best. If you are in need of an attorney, make sure that you give her a call. She would be more than happy to help you. I'll tell you a little bit more about Attorney Best later in our show. In this edition of Dialogue with Deidre, I have Reid Dulberger, who is the president of EDGE. You've heard a lot about EDGE. When you think about economic development in Memphis and Shelby County, you've heard the name Reid Dulberger. When you think about pilots, his name is associated with pilots as well. We're going to learn a great deal about what's going on with the EDGE initiative here in Memphis and Shelby County in the first half hour of this show. In the second half hour of Dialogue with Deidre, Alandas Dobbins, who is the director of MORE, will be in our studio, and we'll find out what's going on with MORE and how they help businesses here in Memphis. So you're watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll be back in a moment.
Search the M1 Network. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook.
I'm Dominique Dawes. How do you start your day? I always start with a healthy breakfast. Whether you're practicing for a game or studying for a test, eating breakfast every day can improve your concentration and help you perform your best. Kids who eat a healthy breakfast have more energy to work hard and play hard. That's why you should check out your school's breakfast program. It's for everyone, so make sure you energize your day. Eat school breakfast.
Smarter about what we bite on, okay? I want everyone to go outside. We're gonna run Red Rover on 3.
What about you, Tony?
I'm gonna run around circles, flat my arms, and make engine noises like this.
When it comes to playing, big kids are the pros.
We're eating right, too.
We fuel up to play 60.
Your school doesn't have a program? Be a leader. Start one.
Click today and join the movement.
To Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. I mentioned earlier in our intro that Reid Dulberger, who is the president of EDGE, is our guest in this first half hour. If you have questions for Reid, please post them on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page. If he's out of the studio, we'll make sure that he answers those questions, and we'll post his responses on our Facebook page, because you have a lot of questions. I mean, we read your posts where you have questions about EDGE and pilots, so here's an opportunity to ask him those questions. Reid, welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Well, talk to me about the whole concept of EDGE.
EDGE was created by the city and county mayor in 2011 to be the focal point for public sector economic development. We have a lot of very strong private, nonprofit development-related entities in Memphis and Shelby County, chambers of commerce and other organizations. But the public entities weren't quite up to snuff. So in 2011, the mayors came together and created EDGE, and by creating EDGE, included several existing public sector economic development organizations. So EDGE is responsible for the Port Commission, and we run the International Port of Memphis. EDGE is responsible for the Depot Redevelopment Corporation, for Foreign Trade Zone 77, for the Industrial Development Board. EDGE is really a compendium of organizations, all under one common leadership. But again, the purpose was, A, to create that focal point for public sector economic development, so the mayors knew where to turn when they wanted to do something new or something innovative. And secondly, to make our process more mechanically efficient, one-stop shop, easier to do.
And it's easier for businesses that are interested in doing business or moving their business or entities here to Memphis and Shelby County. So from an efficiency standpoint, it makes sense. It
really does, and I think we've seen those benefits already. Oftentimes companies, particularly some of the larger industrial projects, would need the services of two or more of the city's and county's public entities. Well, now they're all under the EDGE umbrella, so we can provide tax incentives, grants or loans. We can do foreign trade zone. There are many things that we can bring to the table that assist these companies, and they go to one place, deal with one staff and one board.
So, Reid, EDGE is how many? 2 years old, 3 years old?
What's going on? Just over 3 years old.
So, in this short time period, has it been very challenging for you to kind of merge all of these entities under this one umbrella?
There have been multiple challenges. We have the administrative challenge of melding multiple independent legal entities under one common leadership, and we've pretty much done that. We've had the perception or the political challenges of trying to create a strong public sector entity. Wasn't universally well received. And then, of most importance, is the functional challenge. Memphis and Shelby County have some ground to make up. The recession has been very, very hard on us. And so how do you ramp up this rather large economy? We're about a $64 billion regional metropolitan area economy. Shelby County accounts for about 80% of that. And so that's a pretty big number. How do you get something that big to move faster? And first and foremost, that's the challenge we face every day.
How do we get the general public to understand the importance of an entity like EDGE? Because, if you read some of the comments, in the commercial appeal on their website, or if you listen to some of the news broadcasts when people are talking about EDGE, specifically pilots, I don't think they understand the benefit. If you had to encapsulize what the benefits of EDGE are to the community, what would you say?
Jobs.
Exactly.
First and foremost, it's jobs. And I think all the EDGE board members would agree that's what we wake up every day looking to do: create, retain more jobs. If the economy in Memphis and Shelby County were growing by leaps and bounds on its own, as happens in some places, you wouldn't need an organization like EDGE, or if you had one, it wouldn't need to be aggressive. It wouldn't need to be proactive. But that's not the case here. As I said, the recession has hit us very hard. We still have much ground to make up just to get back to where we were in pre-recession levels. The only way we do that in a highly competitive world is if we work longer, harder, faster, and smarter than our competition. And that's what an organization like EDGE was created to do. We understand people don't like incentives for profitable companies. They don't like them here. They don't like them anywhere. But the truth be told is those incentives are available pretty much in every corner of the United States. And it is a competitive world. In the good old days, if you needed to be in the Mid-South, if you needed to take advantage of that which we have here, you really had to be in the city of Memphis, and if not, certainly in Shelby County, because that's the only place you could find the workforce and the infrastructure for your business. Unfortunately, that's not true today. You can be in northern Mississippi, you can be
That's
in
right.
other parts of western Tennessee, you can be in eastern Arkansas, and you draw on the same workforce, the same river, the same airport, the same highway, the same railroads. You can be on Beale Street on Saturday night, you can be at the Brooks Museum Sunday at brunch, but you can be at your plant in any of those other communities Monday through Friday. And we have seen over the last 10 to 15 years an enormous outmigration of people and companies to these suburban communities beyond our borders. Some of that's a natural evolution. But if we don't staunch that bleeding, if we don't begin to rebuild from the inside out, then we make it that much harder on our residents to find jobs.
In one of the EDGE board meetings, I remember your staff showing a video from
Yes.
North Mississippi, and you would think that it was Memphis.
That's right.
I mean, so they're very competitive with us.
They are, and to their credit, they're doing exactly what they should be doing. We need to do what we need to do. And unfortunately, sometimes here in Memphis and Shelby County, we as a community aren't sure we want to compete. We're not sure we have to compete. We look at, or we decide not to look at the last 10 to 15 years of history and ignore it and assume that everything is well and good.
Right. What do you say to those individuals out there that say or want to say that the incentives don't outweigh the opportunities for jobs?
Well, we think that we are very frugal and very wise in how we apply the incentives. And so there are a number of incentive programs that we have, but obviously best known is the payment in lieu of tax program, the pilot program, highly misunderstood. There are a number of people who think that the payment is a check that we are writing to the companies.
Right.
So they don't understand that each company that gets a pilot pays us. They don't understand that each of the pilots makes money. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we structure these projects so total local taxes, city and county taxes, with the pilot are higher, more than the amount we abate, to the tune of about $2.58 of new tax dollars for every dollar we abate. So we know that, and one of the things that we did is we calculated the incentive per job per year. Because I know people think that it's an outrageous number, that these companies are getting wealthy. They're not getting wealthy. We're just trying to offset our competition. So for the projects that EDGE has approved, we're averaging about $3,300 a year of incentive for each job.
Okay.
It's not a huge number.
Right. That's not a huge number at all.
No. And quite frankly, it's much lower than a lot of our competitors are able to do, because the competition isn't simply city versus city or county versus county. The states play a large role in this. And unfortunately for us, some of our neighboring states just have much more aggressive incentive programs. They also have state income tax.
Right. That we don't have.
We
here in
don't have,
Tennessee.
which is a blessing for all of us individually. But from an economic development perspective, interestingly, those states that have income tax are able to turn around and abate or rebate those taxes to the companies. And it makes for a very lucrative economic development incentive. And unfortunately, Tennessee can't come close to matching that. So oftentimes, the pilot that we offer and is the primary incentive, and we are battling against cities, counties, and states that can do much more.
There are some people who say that with EDGE, when we are advancing or approving pilots, that we're not thinking about locally owned businesses as well as minority and women-owned businesses. That's not the case, though, is it?
No, absolutely not. And the EDGE board members not only think about it, but they insist that staff not only think about it, but do something about it. So the pilot program has a requirement that all companies receiving a pilot commit to contracting with locally owned small businesses and women and minority certified firms. So those are two different programs, one run by Shelby County, the other one run by the city of Memphis. To date, the pilots approved by EDGE have committed to spending over $291 million with MWBEs and LOSBs.
And he did say million.
$291 million over the life of those pilots. In addition, as the EDGE board has been considering changes to the program to streamline it, to make it more efficient, one of the things that they have done and insisted on doing is making that program that requires companies contribute to the community, to contract with locally owned small businesses and women and minority owned firms, to make that program even stronger. And so what you'll see going forward are even larger numbers. It's a commitment that the EDGE board absolutely has to this community. We want everyone to benefit. Yes, jobs are a primary concern, but once we get past the jobs, is that money flowing throughout the community? We're going to insist that companies take a part of their savings and reinvest it in local companies.
I'm glad you cleared that up, Reid, because I think the perception is that, you know, we approve these pilots and a lot of the businesses that maybe come in for construction or for some professional services are not local firms, but a large percentage of them are.
That's right, and the two lists that we use, the city's list and the county's list, is focused on local companies. So certainly these, the companies that we assist, the companies that receive the pilot, may hire all sorts of folks, but the only people we count, that $291 million, those are local companies. Those are people who are here. They're our neighbors.
If you had to pick a project that EDGE has approved over the last 3 years that you would view as a model project in terms of a pilot received or assistance that EDGE has offered, which business would you can give 1, 2, or 3?
You know, we are blessed with having been able to work on some really interesting projects of variety of sizes. And so, you know, at the largest end of the spectrum, we helped retain International Paper's global headquarters here. 600 jobs immediately at risk, several thousand jobs at risk over a longer period of time. That was a complicated negotiation. It became public at one point, which is unusual for us, and people got to see the sausage being made. But at the end, we struck a very good deal with International Paper, and they've made a huge commitment to women and minority-owned firms. It's just off the charts, and so we're very pleased about that. But at the other end of the spectrum, we have dealt with small distribution firms and small manufacturers who are in the 10 to 15 job category that are not going to move the needle by themselves. But having those kinds of companies here in Memphis growing helps add to our entrepreneurial vitality and the overall success of the community. And some of those are existing firms, some of those are new to our community, but we really do the breadth of companies, and I think that's part of what's misunderstood.
Right.
The other part that a lot of people don't know about are the loan programs.
Please talk to us about that.
So I mentioned earlier that EDGE was created to create this focal point, this go-to organization for public sector economic development, so that the mayors would know who would be responsible for doing the new things. One of those new to Memphis things for us were economic development loans. It's long been a practice in other communities, long meaning 30 to 40 years. We have a little bit of experience here, but we don't make access to capital nearly as important as a lot of communities. So EDGE has created 3 different loan programs. Our Inner City Economic Development Fund, created at the request of Mayor Wharton and with the approval of Memphis City Council, does facade loans for inner city businesses. And we have approved 9 of these so far in the Soulsville and the Binghamton neighborhoods as we have sort of look to perfect this target program. It will be expanding to other disadvantaged neighborhoods in the months ahead. We have a slightly larger loan program, which we call the EDGE Loan Fund, for loans of $50,000 to $250,000, and we can do buildings and machinery and equipment and working capital. And then for the large small businesses, we have partnered with another organization to bring the U.S. Small Business Administration's 504 direct loan program here. And that program can do millions for those, again, larger small businesses. And so what we've done is create a spectrum, a continuum of programs to help from the very smallest to the sort of largest small and medium-sized firm. But it's really allowed us a better opportunity to help the really small companies for whom a pilot doesn't work. As a matter of fact, one of our very first loans was for a company that approached us about a pilot. They really didn't know what it was, but they'd heard about it. This was a local entrepreneur who had created a product that Walmart wanted to purchase. Wonderful thing. But like a lot of small businesses who are on the cusp of greatness, they needed funding. They needed working capital to pay for new employees to fill this order, and supplies and inventory and such. And they couldn't arrange it through a traditional bank. We quickly understood a pilot wasn't what they needed. Financing was what they needed. We were able to put a loan together that helped them grow, and now they've been very successful. And so there are thousands of potential stories like that in Memphis and Shelby County, and our job is to go out and find those stories. Or, if you're watching now, find us.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you brought that to the forefront, because I think there is a misconception out in our community that EDGE only looks out for and tries to recruit and work with, large corporations to bring big jobs in. And I think that there has been a void when it comes to small businesses or medium-sized businesses in terms of need. I know, there are organizations out there that want to help, but the funding piece sometimes can be problematic.
Right. And the way the pilot program in Tennessee is set up has nothing to do with us. It's the way it's organized at the state level. You do really need to be spending a couple of $1 million on real property, land and buildings, in order for it to make sense. It's unfortunate, but it's just, we can go into a whole lot of detail and bore a whole lot of folks, but that is the sort of mathematical reality of it. And so it isn't a great program for a lot of small businesses, though, truth be told, some small businesses do some sizable projects. But it's not a good program for small projects. The loan programs really are designed to help small businesses throughout Memphis and Shelby County, because that's the bedrock of our economy. So by orders of magnitude, the largest group of companies are small and very small companies. And if you think about it, if we could get them each just to add a handful of employees, you wouldn't need an organization like EDGE, because we would be in good times.
That's right. Talk to us, explain the difference between, because our viewers may not understand the difference between what you do, what EDGE does, and what the Chamber does.
The Chamber of Commerce is one of our great economic development partners. And I should say all the Chambers of Commerce, because every community in Shelby County has a Chamber of Commerce, and we work with them all. Obviously, the largest one is the Greater Memphis Chamber of Commerce, and we do a lot of economic development work with them. They really are the community's marketing and sales arm. So when we're talking about attracting companies into Memphis and Shelby County, which is the sexy part of economic development, but also perhaps the most difficult part of economic development, they're the tip of our spear. They're the entity out there trying to identify companies that want to be here or should want to be here, and convincing them that this is the place for them. When that discussion gets to the point of the company saying, well, we have choice, there's competition for this opportunity that we have, what can you as a community do? Then EDGE comes to the fore and tries to put the deal together. The Greater Memphis Chamber is a wonderful marketing and communications tool for this community. We work with the Bartlett Chamber on environmental issues. They have Team Green Zone, which is a unique asset in our community. They also have the Medical Device Manufacturers Council, and so we work with them on both of those issues. We work with Collierville and Lakeland and Arlington and Germantown as well. So the Chambers of Commerce in Shelby County, they're private nonprofits. As I said at the outset, we have some great private nonprofit economic development partners here.
Reid, what do you say to the viewer that says we give those pilots, and some people may decide that they don't fulfill their commitment of creating those opportunities for jobs? Some people believe that that EDGE doesn't do anything. What do you say to that?
You're wrong.
Exactly.
EDGE has what we refer to as the Pilot Performance Review Committee that is constantly reviewing the performance of our pilot recipients. We have an outside consulting firm that we have engaged to collect and crunch the numbers. And so a few quick numbers. I know it's difficult to be spouting data on TV, but when we look at job creation, we look at all the active pilots, the ones that EDGE has approved, even the ones that came before us.
With the Industrial Development Board.
Exactly, which we now run.
Right.
But in round numbers, it was a commitment for 16,000 jobs, just under 16,000. Well, those organizations have actually achieved just over 17,000. Their average wages, they had committed to 47,500. Well, they're almost 19% above that. And when it comes to investment, they had committed to investing $2.2 billion in our community, almost exclusively in the city of Memphis. They've actually achieved over $3.1 billion. And so as a portfolio, they are outperforming their commitments. Are there cases where individual companies don't? The answer is yes, of course. When you think about it, when we do a pilot, we are asking a company to project 5, 10, sometimes even 15 years in the future how many jobs they'll have or what they'll be paid. And sometimes their projections aren't accurate. Doesn't make them bad people, but it means that we need to act. So the Pilot Performance Review Committee will consider these companies on an annual basis. And when the committee met earlier this month, and you are a member of that committee.
I love being a part of that committee.
Every organization needs a hammer.
Exactly. And we are the hammer.
When the committee met earlier this month, there were 3 pilots given to 2 companies. One had 1 pilot, one company had 1 pilot, one company had 2 pilots. They had not been able to achieve the metrics that they had set out. We had gone through the approved process of reevaluating them, and those 3 companies need to see what we call a clawback, a reduction in benefit. What we then do is we essentially say, if we knew then, when we approved this pilot, what your actual performance would be, what would we have done?
Right.
If we would have still approved a pilot, it would not have been as big. So we shrink it to what you've actually accomplished. And if that means that we wind up canceling it, means we wind up canceling it. Over the past decade, about 40 companies have had their benefit reduced or canceled. Again, doesn't make them bad companies, doesn't mean they lie to us,
right.
But it does mean their projections are off and that we would otherwise have provided more of an incentive than our process called for. And so we try to keep everything in alignment. We try to hold people's feet to the fire. We want all our pilot recipients to know that this community takes this very seriously. And if they do what they commit to doing, we are going to be their best friends. And if they can't, we may still be their friends, but we may have to take back some benefit.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. One last question, because I know that you have to get out of here. You have a 1 o'clock. The Port Commission is now under
EDGE.
the umbrella of EDGE. What does the Port Commission do?
The Port, that's our dirt division. The Port Commission runs the International Port of Memphis. So that means we're doing everything from dredging McKellar Lake. We don't do the dredging ourselves, but we secure the federal dollars that pay for the dredging. We take care of President's Island and Pigeon Industrial Park, 2 very large tracts of land, totaling perhaps together about 12,000 acres that most Memphians have never seen. But President's Island has a 1,000-acre industrial district, and the Pigeon Industrial Park has about 2,500 acres and is home to the Allen Steam Plant, Nucor Steel, Electrolux, the Canadian National Railroad. So we essentially we own and manage that land. We keep the harbor open. We promote river traffic and industrial growth. We repair levees. We mow grass. We do all of the sexy stuff that no one ever knows about.
Well, Reid, thank you so much for coming on Dialogue with Deidre and educating our viewers on what EDGE is and how important a role it plays in our community from an economic development standpoint. And so I know that we're in the process of looking at our application processes now, and at some point I'd like to have you come back and talk about that.
Oh, we'd love to. There are going to be some really exciting things going on, but until that happens, if you need help, 341-2100, 341-2100, or find us on the web at www.growth-engine.org.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the organization is one that is so transparent. Anything and almost everything that you want to know about EDGE is on that website. Your Director of Communications has done an outstanding job, if I must say so myself.
Well, I would concur.
Okay. Thank you, Reid.
Thank you.
You're watching Dialogue with Deidre. When we come back, Alandas Dobbins will be in the studio talking about more. But if you do have a question for Reid, post it on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page. I promise I will get a response from him, and we'll post it on the page so you can have your answer. We'll be back in a moment.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
Wow, Teller Brown is your drugstore, and your drugstore. Hey, we everyone's drugstore. And we're located at 3333 East Chevy Drive, 794-3690. All medical plans. We support supported living, assisted living. We do it all. And guess what? We even have a $4 plan. Hey, call and ask Dr. Brown about that. I gotta go because she's coming with those boots.
Search the M1 Network. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook.
I'm Dominique Dawes. How do you start your day? I always start with a healthy breakfast. Whether you're practicing for a game or studying for a test, eating breakfast every day can improve your concentration and help you perform your best. Kids who eat a healthy breakfast have more energy to work hard and play hard. That's why you should check out your school's breakfast program. It's for everyone, so make sure you energize your day. Eat school breakfast.
We gotta be smarter about what we bite on, okay? I want everyone to go outside. We're gonna run Red Rover on 3.
What about you, Tony?
I'm gonna run around circles, flat my arms, and make engine noises like this.
When it comes to playing, big kids are the pros.
We're eating right, too.
We fuel up
To play 60!
If your school doesn't have a program, be a leader. Start one.
Click today and join the movement.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at. So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
back to Dialogue with Deidre, and this show is brought to you by attorney Michelle Alexander Best. She is a general practice attorney, and you can give her a call at 901-734-8621, 901-734-8621. She can help you with your legal needs. And again, that's attorney Michelle Alexander Best. Welcome back to Dialogue with Deidre. In this section of the show, Alandas Dobbins with the Memphis Office of Resource and Enterprise with the City of Memphis, and she is the director. Alandas, welcome back to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you for having me.
What is going on with More these days? I mean, your beautiful website.
Thank you.
You've been making a lot of moves on behalf of More.
We have. So More is officially 3 years old. I can't believe it.
Goodness.
It's been 3 years. Time passes so fast.
It does.
But this is our busiest time of the year simply because we're doing our annual conference.
Okay.
And so I want to start off immediately talking about that because it is so exciting. There's so much going on with the conference this year. And so that's taking up a bulk of our planning time right now. We've called it the Boom Conference.
The Boom Conference. I like that.
Businesses open for opportunities in Memphis.
Wonderful.
It will be actually April 30th. So it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's an all-day conference. Day 1, day 2 is actually going to be at the University of Memphis. Day 1, which is the More Day, is going to be at the Sheraton Hotel downtown.
Wonderful.
We're going to have speakers from all over the country that will be there. Some of our top business owners across the country sharing some of their secrets on how they built their businesses, minority businesses, women-owned businesses that are doing $20 million, $30 million a year. They're going to share with us how they did that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that's exciting. We're going to have workshops on credit repair, personal credit repair, business credit repair. We're even going to have a Shark Tank.
Not the Shark
A
Tank.
Shark Tank. Dun, dun, dun. Yes.
I love it. I love that show.
Winner is going to actually win a small amount of seed money, seed capital, and the ability to work with the VCs. We found actual VCs, venture capitalists, who will work with the winners. We're going to pick 3 winners after the fact.
So, as a part of the Shark Tank, do these have to be new business concepts or new businesses who are only been in business a couple of years?
There's a variety of yes, we're having a variety there. So it will be broken down into segments.
Okay.
We'll start doing the advertisement very soon. We're working in conjunction with StartCo.
Wonderful.
The Epicenter, which is the new economic development for the chamber. StartCo is one of our accelerators in the city that helps small businesses grow. And we're working with the Tri-State Defender. So we're pulling together in our community, in our economic development community, really the African American, the Hispanic, the small, the large, working with majority companies. I found in the last 3 years that that's something that's going to be a secret and a recipe for success for our city. For those small independent businesses to work with seasoned majority companies. And so we're really focusing on pulling together entities so that we can really implement that one Memphis that we started some years ago that's still moving forward so that smaller businesses can learn from those larger businesses and be mentored.
So who would be the perfect participant in this conference?
Yes, well, if you've started your business and you are looking to grow, if you're an existing business owner and you need to take it to the next level, or if you're a seasoned business owner and you're doing multi-millions, we've got something for everybody.
Okay.
You can go to our website and you can register there. The whole day is free, and our keynote speaker for lunch, which is $30, is Lisa Price.
Okay.
Lisa Price started Carol's daughter. She started in her kitchen, literally at her kitchen table, mixing, and grew that business to be a multi-million-dollar business. In the time that she was doing that, she had to file bankruptcy. Not very many people know about that. She filed bankruptcy, rebounded from that, sold her business to L'Oreal for millions of dollars. And so she's going to tell us her journey, her story, how she did that, how she started as a small business owner in her kitchen, how she grew it to go across the country to be in stores such as Macy's and Target. What happened that when the economy, something happened, what happened when she failed, and then how did she rebound? Because a lot of times when you're going through something like that, it's hard to rebound. And so the story of rising from the ashes is what we're looking for. Memphis is one of those cities where you learn to rise after you've fallen. And so we really wanted her to be our keynote speaker.
I think that's going to be so exciting for just entrepreneurs in general, but women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
To see that, someone like Lisa.
Yes.
Lisa, right?
Lisa Price, yes.
Lisa Price can start this business in her home and then grow it and then sell it. And I'm sure now just living real comfortable. But her products are really good.
Yes.
I buy some of the hair care products for my grandson.
Yes.
And so that's an amazing story. And I'm sure will be encouraging for someone like me who's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And who,
to hear. We want that inspiration, but we also wanted hands-on, step-by-step knowledge for Memphis. Memphis is an entrepreneurial city, and so we're trying to regain that energy, that momentum again, and make people excited about starting a business, but more than making them excited, also give them the tools to succeed. And so that's what our office is all about. More is a resource office, but we take it seriously there so that you can have the tools to succeed. It's one thing to have hope and dreams and desire, which we need. It's another thing to have those foundational pieces for success.
So, Alandas, if I'm a new business owner and, I just started I'm a Democrat Cup company. And, want to figure out what do I do next? I filed a business license. I need to come to you. What would you advise me to do? I have a little capital, not much, but it's going to cost a lot of money for me to get my cup company off the ground.
Yes.
What are your first steps when you walk in the door?
We always encourage you have a plan. Planning is critical. What's the old axiom? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so planning is existence. You wouldn't build a house without a plan. You wouldn't build a computer without knowing the steps. And so there's tried and true methods in solid building of a company. So planning, and we've got resources that we refer you to at our office that are sponsored by the Small Business Administration, TSBDC, which will help you with your planning. We also have resources that will help you with your planning that may cost money. Now, the first resource we talked about, SBA, that is paid for through your tax dollars. And so you don't
Small Business Association?
Okay. Administration, Small Business Administration. And so planning is the first thing. And then you find out all the different resources that are out in our community. We have tremendous amount of resources. And so part of what the great thing about that is, one thing you learn by being an entrepreneur is sometimes it's okay to fail.
Right.
Because that failing allows you to learn for your next big venture. I say all the time, so many times in the African American and in the woman-owned community and in the minority community, we're not second, third, fourth generation business owners.
Right.
We didn't go to the Wharton School of Business or Harvard School for learning. We don't have that all of those luxuries, the pedigrees, the pedagogy. And so, but we've got people in our community who have resources. We have SCORE, the Society of Retired Executives. We've got the SBA. We've got the accelerators that I mentioned earlier. We've got Epicenter, which is committed to growing 10,000 businesses in the next 10 years. So Memphis and our leaders have really taken it upon itself to understand we're in a competitive state. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They're looking for that next thing to do. And so starting your own business is one of those things. And so we've got those resources in our community. Our website highlights a lot of those resources. You go to our resource page on the website. It gives you the name of the companies that help small businesses. It gives you their contact information and what particular segment they work with. So you're not running around 6 months calling this person, it's the wrong office. We've really tried to narrow that down so that your focus can be what you need it to be. And then another thing we found out is sometimes people need loans, sometimes people need that startup capital, but sometimes when you're an existing business, you might think that you need a loan, but you'll go through processes and understand you don't need that loan.
Right.
You really need to restructure what you're doing existing. So we have resources that help you with that as well.
That's good. That's really, really good.
Yes, we're a small team at our office, but we have the partnership in our community for really the first time in the last 25 years that I've known about, that I've been either in business or working with small businesses. We've come together, and it's the starting phases of us coming together, but it's a strong starting phase of us coming together, and we're trying to grow that process of our community knowing what the left hand is doing and what the right hand is doing, so we can work together to make us all more successful.
If I'm outside of City Hall and I need some assistance and I'm a small business owner, there's more, and then there is another area within city government, Mary Bright's area.
Yes, Office of Contract Compliance.
Office of Contract Compliance.
Yes.
How do you all work together?
We are really two peas in a pod, because what we do is provide resources at Moore so that you can grow your business, so that you can find what areas in our city need. If we have bids that are coming out for pavement or asphalt or cups, as you indicated, or paper, sometimes we can forecast what's happening in city government and with all governments. And so something we're doing that's new at the City of Memphis is really trying to publicize what the budgets are over the next year.
That's wonderful.
So that small business owners can get that information and plan ahead. Maybe we're going to be needing plants for 200 buildings, but that bid won't be out for another 6 months. We're trying to publicize those forecasts so that somebody might be able to start a company or expand their existing company to be able to bid on that. What Mary Bright's office does, the Office of Contract Compliance, is really working with the contracts, making sure they're setting those particular goals that need to be there. So it's two separate functions at those offices. One, they really look at contracts, they set goals for the existing contracts, they use certified vendors. Our office is completely about resources and making sure that the businesses have what they need to be successful.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
So two ends of the spectrum, but work very closely together.
And I know the mayor has said that he's going to create this whole new department within city government, and we'll come back and talk about that on another show, because we'll need an hour for that.
Yes, indeed.
But I do want to ask you about the state in your opinion. I mean, former entrepreneur, so come from a family of entrepreneurs like me. We're a lot alike in that regard. What do you think the state of entrepreneurship is? I mean, it's just like here in Memphis now.
Yes. I think we're in a very exciting time. I think we're on the cusp of really great things, and I don't think that we sing our praises enough. Right now, there is lots of construction that is going on that drives our economy. And so we've got a lot of our companies that are working now that haven't been working in years. And so that's really exciting. We've grown several different areas socially. We've got Broad, which is really coming alive right now. Of course, Overton Square, downtown Memphis. Our inner city is vibrant. And so there's much more to be done. We've got inner city over at Soulsville. There are projects on the books right now to try to help enhance Soulsville. So there's so many different areas in our community that can gain support right now. So it's a matter of digging in, doing that research, finding out what's that next hot area. If you want to start a small restaurant, if you want to be able to help build the next area and refurbish it. Of course, Sears Crosstown is a huge project.
Exactly.
Yes. TVA Allen Steam Plant, that's a project that's going to be a $900 million project that has goals in there for minority and women-owned businesses that are going to be $180 million worth of work. And so it's definitely worth your time to research what areas are needed for that particular project. And so we've got $1 billion worth of projects being developed right now in our MSA, our Metropolitan Statistical Area. And so it's particularly in the construction arena, very strong. One program that we're doing at Moore, and we're working with MAMCA, which is the Memphis Area Minorities Contractors Association, is a class that we've been doing for the last 14 months, and we're about to wrap this particular class up. But we're working with construction companies to teach them how to take it to the next level.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Maybe they're doing 500,000 now, but at the end of the class, we fully expect them to be able to do $1 million plus based on how we've broken that class down. And so, again, more is about resources. It's about classes. It's about training. It's about mentoring in our community so that we can have very strong, savvy business owners that last through the test of time.
And I think that is so important. When you think about majority firms, I mean, they have those opportunities. And sometimes we miss out just because one piece of paperwork was not adequately filled out.
Yes.
And so what you're doing is helping them get through the maze.
Yes.
Because that can be daunting, quite frankly.
It really can be. And you have to have really staff members on hand to be able to do that. And a lot of times we don't have that. We're working the job in the day. We're filling out the paperwork at night. We don't get very much sleep if you're a small business owner. And so being able to have that assistance can make the difference between success and failure on a bid.
I'm telling you, with a lot of the RFPs that we fill out, and we win some, we lose some, but it comes down to, how did that presentation look? Was it all of the information you could possibly give that particular business to make you stand out,
to make you
in
stand
the crowd, and say, oh, maybe I ought to give them a shot, So just looking for those opportunities. I mean, small and minority and women-owned businesses need that experience.
We need that. We need those resources. We need that assistance because we don't want to have a community where we're not able to compete.
Exactly.
You want to be able to compete. And there's lots of hurdles to overcome. It's just that's the reality of the situation. But we want to train our runners to be able to jump those hurdles. We want to build those entrepreneurial muscles.
I'm just telling you, to be able to compete and feel good
about winning.
Yes. I mean, if you're in one of my staff meetings and we lose a piece of business,
not a pretty day.
Oh, it's not a pretty day. And then I feel sorry for the business because I'm emailing saying, okay, can I see the bid sheets? I want to know what our scoring's like.
Yes.
Because you need to know what you can improve on.
Yes. And so that's an important point. Something that we are also sharing. You do need to call after you've lost. Why did I lose?
Right.
What can I do better the next time? Because that bid's going to come back around 9 times out of 10, or another bid like that will come back around. You need to understand. One thing in city government is opens records requests. Every bid that has been won with city government, you're able to look at those records. Just sharing that to people so that they know that. If a bid was let 5 years ago and it's coming right back up to be rebid in a year, you can look at that contract and see how were they successful? What did they turn in? How many people did they have?
Right.
And that's how we compete. It's capitalism. And so you have to find all of those tidbits to help you be able to compete and be a stronger competitor.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I
mean, it's absolutely appropriate.
Here's a good example. So it must have been maybe 6 years ago, our firm bid on a piece of business, and we came in third. Last year, we bid on that same piece of business, and we were a finalist, so we came in second. It was government business, and our firm had a solid team, people who had experience, had worked with other entities, not maybe here in Memphis and Shelby County, but across the state, that this one entity said, we even had a team member that was the president of a former organization that they held as a model, but we didn't get the business. So I'm just saying to entrepreneurs, don't be discouraged.
Ever.
It happens.
Because I fully expect the next time you bid on that.
Come on.
We're going to be number one.
Exactly.
In a circle.
Man, we'll be able to dot all those I's and cross all those T's.
Never give up. Never give up. Which is why it's so important with Lisa coming in, because she easily could have given up. But she did not.
Filed bankruptcy. I would have been at home in the bed thinking,
okay, for a year.
Can't do this anymore. But when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, there is something about that fire that you have to say, I'm going to make this work, not just for me, not just for my family, but for my employees and the people that need our services.
Yes.
People need your services.
They need those services. You may even have an idea. I would never discount any idea. You may have an idea that nobody else has thought about, and you need to be able to have those resources to fuel that idea, to support that idea, and to bring that idea into fruition. That's what's happening in our economic development community right now, something that hasn't really taken place, again, since I can remember. So we're really excited about that support and understand that as a city, we have to be competitive.
Right.
We have to build more businesses. We have to find ways to employ our citizens. We have a very high unemployment rate. We have a very high poverty rate in Memphis, Tennessee. But I'm one of those people who believes that the glass is half full.
Right.
We can fix our problems. We can determine how we can turn this city around and make that poverty rate not as high.
Right.
And make sure we are employing young men and women from the inner cities so that they don't continue to do this crime.
That's
building
important.
those businesses in the inner cities. And that's what we do at MORE. That's why we're so excited about our conference and so excited about being on shows like this to share with the community that's what we want, and that's what we work every day passionately about, to make sure that we can grow those businesses, because I see this as a whole community effort. It's not about MORE. It's not about just one segment. This is about growing businesses for our community.
Exactly.
So that our whole community is better.
Well, Alandas, before you get out of here, please share again with our viewers one more time information about the upcoming conference.
Yes, it's the Boom Conference.
Boom!
Boom! 2 days. The first day, again, is information on doing business with the city government, doing business with the federal government, working with larger business owners who've grown their companies to $20, $30, $40 million. How did they do that? They're going to give you those secrets. And then the Shark Tank, where you can come in and pitch your idea to venture capitalists. Again, that's April 30th. You can go to our website, which is www.morememphis.org, and you can find out information. Our second day, we're working with the U.S. Black Chamber.
Wonderful.
They'll be bringing in purchasing agents from American Express, MGM, and other national purchasing agents, so you can learn how to do business across the nation, as well as culminating with the Benny Awards luncheon, which is with the BBA. So it's going to be 2 days that's going to be packed with complete information. This will not be a conference you want to miss. This will be not be a conference where you will waste your time stepping away from your business. You will learn information that will allow you to make your business boom.
So Alandas, free conference, but there is a charge for the meal, the luncheon.
Yes.
Okay, free people.
Free
luncheon. Luncheon's $30, so
yes.
You can put $30 away
yes.
to hear this success story. But free opportunity to gain knowledge so you can be the entrepreneur that you know you need to be and want to be. You make sure you mark off April 30th. Alandas, thank you so much for being on Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you. It's been fun.
And you know you're always welcome back.
Appreciate that.
Viewers, I hope you got something from today's show. Again, you can, make comments on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page. Let us know if you have questions for Alandas Dobbins. You can post the questions on the Facebook page, or you can go to the MORE website, and I'm sure that her email address is on the website, or give her a call at the MORE office, and she'll be more than happy to answer questions about what's going on at the Memphis Office of Resources and Enterprise, as well as what's going on with the Boom Conference. This show has been brought to you by attorney Michelle Alexander Best. You can contact her at 901-734-8621 if you need legal assistance. Attorney Michelle Alexander Best can help you, so give her a call. We look forward to seeing you on this Wednesday. You've been watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll see you then.